Hello everyone. Hi, thank you so much for joining today's live. Just took me a while to set up this tripod, so I am a minute or two late. So today it's a very interesting thing that I want to talk about. So somebody asked, like I had a story put out asking for some topics, and somebody said that they would like to know the freelancing mistakes I have made and the lessons I've learned from that, and if that could be something that you learn from too. So I found it very interesting because this is like, I have often been asked this question by other people. People often ask me, like, what were some mistakes you made, what were the challenges you faced, and I usually go blank because I haven't ever really given it much thought. But today, because someone asked me and because it was alive and I could really think about it, I have done that, and I have realized that there are quite a few things that I actually would have probably wanted to do differently, and something that if I knew earlier would have had a stronger impact maybe in my freelancing career. And hopefully, if you are listening to this, hopefully, if I mean you are, so hopefully it'll help you out as well, because um, these are some of the most common things that freelancers make, no matter where they're from or what they do, what kind of freelancing. You could do any sort of freelancing, and you have probably been through these things yourself as well. So I just want to share a few things. There's no structure or anything for today's live. It's just me sharing my stories and anything that I've overcome, how I have learned from it. And later in the session, if you have any specific questions about, like, specific challenges that you faced and how you could get through it, you can keep commenting them or ask them in the questions tab, and I'll answer those for you. So first, I want to talk about my freelancing lessons. The first thing that I want to put out there is, I would not call these mistakes. I don't think that these are freelancing mistakes, because these are experiences. At that particular point, I did not, when I started out, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any experiences. I didn't know how to write content, how to freelance. So it was all new to me. So anything that I did at that point was not really a mistake. It was something that I want to call a non-negotiable experience, which means that I could not negotiate with it. It was not possible to get away from those mistakes, or what I call experiences, because it's bound to happen in some or the other way. It's still bound to happen, even though I have some experience of a few months, few years. It's still bound to keep happening, because there's always something new you come past. So if you do think back sometimes and think that, oh my god, these are some mistakes I have made, I want you to think of them as lessons and experiences, something that helps you improve and become a better freelancer with time. So don't regret those, and just try to make the most of them by learning from them, taking something from them and using it in your future work, right? So okay, so some of the things that I made, some things that I experienced in the beginning, which I wish I would have done differently. Some of those things are, firstly, I thought that I had things figured out, because I had this internship experience of about 1 year. So I had a lot of different internships during that time. I had this idea of, how to write content, for like social media, press releases, articles, things like that. I had that fair idea. So I thought that that meant I knew enough. And one more thing was, when I put out my first post on LinkedIn and it went viral, I thought that I had LinkedIn figured out. I thought that, okay, anything I put now, I know exactly how to make it work. But that didn't happen. The second post I put out had some 100 likes, and then, it was 100 odd likes for quite a few months, and then it started growing from there. So one of my first things that I wish I would have done differently would have been to realize that I am starting out, that I don't know everything, and that I do not have things figured out. And that would have probably made me more receptive to people giving me suggestions, more receptive to taking taking feedback, to learning from other people, to following other people's work and seeing how I can improve mine. So that is something that I would say that I didn't do. Okay, so thinking, it's good to be confident in your work, but just thinking that you know everything is probably not a good place to be at as a beginner. That's one of the first challenges I faced. Second has to do with writing, with content writing. I had this habit of editing while I was writing. So I used to keep writing, and then I used to see that annoying red line if I made a spelling error or something. And then I would go back and edit that spelling, and then I would end up missing out my flow of thought, and then I forgotten completely what I was writing. So that was very, very disturbing. That affected the work, that affected the time, because it took me more time to again rethink what I had thought of, and then sometimes it just never comes back. So that was one of the challenges also that I had to overcome, which was just write it down, just like get everything out there and then edit it later. Super helpful tip for anyone who wants to be a content writer, even or anyone who just does writing. So even as a freelancer who does anything, even if you're not a content writing freelancer, you probably write emails to your prospects, you probably write messages to your prospects. Even those things, like, don't sit and obsessively edit them. Rather be open to just writing it all down and then giving it more thought and editing it. So that is super helpful as well. And the next thing was I think this was one of the main big things that really affected me. It affected me mentally, it affected me, I don't know, like socially, like it really got to me and it stuck with me for a few weeks altogether. And this was because I did not set boundaries. So I had this one particular client I was working with, and suddenly, like at 2 a.m., like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., this person messaged me like, "Hey Shreya, we cannot, I had a term in the contract, and they said, hey, we cannot follow this term because no other content writers asked for this term." And that was weird because we were halfway through our contract and we were working, and it was my term. So it was my thing. It doesn't matter whether somebody else does it or not. It was my term. And this person just said, we cannot work on it, and this is not fair, and all of that. He made it very personal. It's not fair. How can you do this? Because nobody else is saying that nobody else has this term. Why do you have it? And it became a very chaotic thing in my brain at like 1-2 in the morning. And at that time I was home. I was with my parents. So at that time I had this, I had somebody right there to go ahead and rant to. So I went to my parents and then I started talking about, how did this happen? How can he just, change the term like that? We had a contract. He read through the contract. He cannot just change anything. It doesn't matter if somebody else does it or not. It's my term. Things like that. It became a big thing. And eventually it just kind of broke me down. Within that 30 minutes of reading it, I was just screaming, crying around the house. I got scolded by my parents for screaming and crying around the house and making such a big deal out of it. But at that point, everything seemed like a big deal. Everything seemed like, okay, something's going away from me. Everything seemed like a big loss. Everything seemed like it was something personal for me. So I used to get affected a lot, and that costed me a lot of mental effort even later. This very incident, it costed me a lot of mental effort for like months and like weeks and weeks together. So that was really disturbing. And at that point I realized that I did like two things wrong in this one incident. First thing was that I did not set boundaries. I'm not supposed to be checking, forget responding, I'm not supposed to even be checking client messages at 2 in the morning, and clients are not supposed to be messaging me at 2 in the morning. That's one thing. Second thing was I was taking things personally. When the client is not happy with something, or if it's already in the term, it's something we discussed initially, it was something that we both set out clearly as a physical document, then there was no reason for me to really fight there because it was right there. So basically it was undisputable. But of course, I let it get to me, I let it affect me, and it even ruined my idea of working with people for the next few weeks. So I actually reduced prospecting. I reduced the number of conversations I had with people. I reduced the number of clients I worked with, because everything just suddenly got to me, and everything was making me feel like, nothing's going to work out and everything's going to just be more stress. So let me not do it. And this was, I think, during my summer vacation or something. So I had a few months off. And now that I think about it, I could have made the most of those few months as a freelancer. But what I did instead was I was slacking off because of that one incident. So that really cost me a lot. And that is one experience that was very important. It was something that really shaped the rest of my freelancing career, because at that point, once I moved on from that, I realized that I cannot take things personally. And second is, I should not react to things that were already discussed. If they don't want to continue with that, then we can discuss about negating the deal altogether, but it doesn't make sense to stress over things. And then I stopped stressing over things. I mean, I still do, certain things still bother me, but I don't overthink them. I don't cry over them. I probably don't scream over them. Sometimes I rant about them, but I don't scream over them. And this has been very good in terms of realizing that not everything is personal, and some things are just work, and some things are just the way they are, and you cannot take everything to your heart. So that was a very, 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 very life-changing lesson. And this kind of went into everything, all aspects of life. This even went into conversations with people in general, conversing with friends, conversing with professors, realizing that you don't have to take things, personally. That's very important. So it kind of helped me in all aspects of life. And I'm glad I had that one client who really broke me down, because that breakdown was so important. Otherwise, if I didn't have that one experience, I probably would have still, been breaking down all this time. So that was a completely important experience, and life-changing, yes. And the next thing was once this particular client who I had these issues with was also somebody who was highly negotiated. So I think I had given 1/4 of my price that I would normally charge. I had given that rate, and I was working at that rate for a month. And it was probably a 6 months contract. I think we barely got through 2 weeks because of all these issues. But at that point, I thought that negotiating was important. Mainly because I thought that I didn't have enough experience to charge more, to work more, or to have bigger clients, right? So I would always if I spoke to somebody, they said no, then I would keep running after them. Hey, let me negotiate. How about a 20% off? How about a 40% off? And then how about a 75% off? Things like that. I just kept negotiating again and again and again. And this wasn't helpful, but this gave me work. Of course, it had something going on for me. It gave me a lot of experiences, especially these client experiences, dealing with fidgety clients, dealing with disrespectful clients, dealing with clients who do not stick to their words. All of these experiences were, of course, very important. But the main reason I had these experiences was because I didn't really believe in myself. So I thought that I have just started out. I just have a little bit of experience. Okay, now this was after I realized that I don't have everything figured out. So I realized that, okay, I have a little bit of experience in content writing. And I thought about it, and I said that, okay, I know how to write content, but I don't know any terms, any proper words or anything about content writing. I don't know, how content writing works as such. I don't know, I've never done a course. I don't have a certification. I don't have a degree for it. I don't have any solid proof about anything. So then what happened over there was I was not ready to go above a certain, amount that I would charge. So I was always in the certain zone that fine, I'm going to work with clients which are within this range, or I'm going to work with clients who are looking only for this much scope of work, right? And that really limited my options. And the thing is, very naturally, people who accept negotiated rates and who are willing to only work at negotiated rates are also very, are also people who are like not that great to work with. So again, it was all like, a loop where I got like poor clients because of my habit of negotiating excessively, and then they would not work out, and then I would lose more faith in myself, and then like, it was a repeat cycle. So one of the things was that I realized that I do not need to know everything, because there was this particular incident where I actually got people paying me exactly what I asked for, and I realized that okay, there are people who will pay exactly what I asked for. There are people who will pay even more than what I'm asking for now. When I realized that, I stuck to it. When I realized that, I said, okay, I'm not going to negotiate below a certain amount. I'm not going to negotiate if there's no benefit for me in it, in negotiation. I'm not going to negotiate if, this person is actually a genuine person through my intuition, through, my gut feeling. And they probably cannot afford me at this point, but they look like somebody who would really, be a great person to work with. I set these own like, kind of, I would say like sort of boundaries for myself, not as a list, but just mentally I had some sort of boundary. And after that, I stopped negotiating for certain things. And then I increased my rates. I stuck there, and then I kept asking people about that. And at that point, I realized that I don't have to know everything to know freelancing or to know content writing. I don't have to have a degree, certification, nothing. The thing is that I should be able to get my job done. And with time, with practice, I got better at the job. I got better at content writing. Most importantly, I got better at having that belief and confidence in my writing. Earlier, I would be very skeptical. Earlier, I would always look for like client approval, like in terms of not approval like it's good to go or not, but like approval in terms of, am I a good writer, and what do you think about me, would you still want to work with me? All of those things were a big question for me. And at a certain point, I was like, no, I'm not asking that. I'm not hoping for that response. I'm going to give my best work, and I'm going to see, and I'm just going to edit whatever they require, and that's it. So that confidence in my work completely changed everything for me. And at that point, I realized that I don't have to be the best content writer in the world. I just have to, do my job in the best possible way. That's it. I have to do what I promised. I told the client that I would give 5 articles a month. I'm doing my best possible job. I'm improving every time I'm doing that job, and I'm giving those 5 articles a month. As long as I am committing to the work, I'm delivering my commitment. And as long as I'm confident in my work, and as long as I am good at what I do, I will get paid. That's it. That was the bottom line. Doesn't matter how much I charge. It really doesn't matter how much I charge, how many figures are there in that amount. If I can get things done, and if what I am providing to the client is valuable to them, if the content is valuable to them, meaningful to them, then they are going to pay me whatever I ask for. Again, big bomb right there, because at that point it was completely changing, because at that point I realized that okay, no negotiations anymore, no crying over things, no letting other people lead my freelancing career, not letting other people say what they want to and get away with it just because I decided to go in a corner and cry instead of actually dealing with it. I stopped all of that, and then I just kind of gained more confidence in my work and in myself. And there was, of course, I mean, even now, if a client, if a contract with a client is completed, like we worked for a few months, we're done with work and everything's done, I do get upset. I do really want to work with them. It's not just about, having that contract or having the deal or having the money. It's also about having that experience, because I know that that client was a very good person to work with. I would really like to work more with them. I do get upset, natural. I do get teary-eyed when, some clients walk away. It happens. But do I take it personally? No. Do I cry over it and really, really cry over it and forget that, I have things to get back to? No. Do I let it affect me for weeks and weeks together and give up on my entire freelancing career? No. Maybe for a moment, but not for weeks and weeks. So yeah, things like that happen. Natural to have emotions, but know how to control them, know how to, knowing how to, be more emotionally intelligent, I would say is something that people really miss out while freelancing. Valuing yourself is good, confidence is good, but emotional intelligence is the peak, because freelancing has a lot to do with dealing with people, dealing directly with people, being the sole person dealing with like maybe hundreds of people, and you have to be ready to face that and be emotionally strong to face that. Again, that could be in any way. That could also, like, for example, my LinkedIn comments. There were a few posts that I'd written where, I wasn't at that point, again, I wasn't really emotionally intelligent, I would say. So my writing was at times a bit brash. So I would not really think too much about it, right? So I would just write content. I had this time where I was like, I was happy with the content. This was exactly what I wanted to say. And I put it out there without really refining it, without really thinking of all the possible trigger points in that post. And there was one particular post, and I remember at this time, because I was at home. I was with my family, and I think all these things happened around the same time period. And I was at home. My dad was traveling for work, and my mom was at home with me. My mom and my sister were at home with me. And I put out this post, and it had a really good, feedback. Like thousands and thousands of people liked it, and I had so many comments on the post because so many people related to it. But there were like 5 or 6 people who were totally brash about their comment. Like, they were completely rude, and it wasn't just attacking the post, it was attacking me. It was, making it very personal. It was making it like as if I didn't really know what I'm talking about. I'm too young and whatnot. And I got so offended. I got so disturbed. I cried that whole night. My mom kept calling my dad, like, she's still crying. What is happening? Can you, like, what do we do right now? And I remember, like, my mom was sitting next to me, and I was still lying in bed, just like curled up. I'm like, I'm never using LinkedIn again. I deleted the app that day because I just didn't want to see the notifications anymore. And it was wild for that one day. And then I, like, my dad called me later that night when he was free from work, and he was like, really, this is not how it works. That's one comment. Look at the other comments. People understand you. And he explained, like, even what you wrote was kind of triggering. You should know how to write as well. Sometimes you should cut those things out. You should know exactly how to present yourself in a way that probably does not offend people. Very important lesson. And the next day I downloaded the app again. I kept staring at that comment. One of the comments was like completely something that every time, even if I think about it now, it just really hurts me, because it was one of the worst comments I had heard in my life, like I'd received in my life. And that was one of the first times. Completely disturbed, completely wrecked for that one day. And I wasn't, like, I already had experience. I was already writing on LinkedIn. I already had that experience of, getting certain rough comments, but this completely, like, pushed me away from everything. And I was lost again. I was like, I don't want to go back on LinkedIn, and this person hates me. And what affected me even more was that many people liked that comment, like that person's comment. And I was like, oh my god, so many people agree with her, and so many people agree with him. And all of these people are just agreeing with so many people, and they do not like me. Complete mess. And then again, took me about one day. This was a quick revert. It still affects me. That one comment is still something that I don't really like thinking about. But again, I moved on from it, and it was again a very important experience, because working with clients and everything is fine, but when something is as a comment, it's right there on the wall. It's right there for hundreds and thousands of other people to validate, and it can really get to you. Again, something very important I learned. And then then I just kind of stopped caring about it. And now I'll tell you, there's one person who comments on every single post of mine, who just comments so rudely on every single post of mine, and I just don't care. I don't care what that person says at all. Like, I have zero consideration. I see that person every day. I'm just like really fond of that person's commitment to, being rude on my post. Completely agree with that person. But I don't let it affect me. I just like take it with a grain of salt, and it's fine. So my idea is that, having your own boundaries and not being affected by things and being emotionally intelligent is important as a freelancer, not just in terms of client interaction, but also in terms of your personal internet space, because you are usually on internet, so you are usually online as a freelancer, so you have to kind of be prepared to deal with such people. And a few more things that I missed out on when I was younger. One of them was that I wasn't tracking my payments. Very simple thing, but I just didn't like. Right now, I spoke about this a few days ago, that I have an Excel sheet to manage my finances. I didn't have that, so I would always be lost whether the payment came in or not, how much payment should have come in, things like that. Completely lost over there. And again, that was something that would irritate me, because I didn't know what was happening. And I would like get a notification, okay, payment made, and I'm like, where is this payment coming from? I didn't even know we closed the deal, and where did this happen? So really simple thing that I did was start making an Excel sheet. Completely changed my life. Okay, one more thing I want to talk about in terms of payment is this very unique experience I have, very life changing, and this is a hint. This is also something I'm going to write a LinkedIn post on soon. So this is definitely something I want to share with you all. So there was this one client I had at again, one of my early times in my freelancing career. I was supposed to write website content for this person, and I had asked for an advance of like 50% and everything. So everything was done, deal finalized, and everything. And then this person said that, hey Shreya, I am traveling right now, and whatever, I cannot really make the full advance payment right now. But what I can do is I'll pay you 1,000 rupees for now, and then I can pay you once we start working, I can pay you the rest of it. And I was like, okay, this deal is confirmed and everything, we're going to work together anyway. So I told this person, it's fine, you can pay it all together, because I thought 1,000 rupees, like 1,000 rupees is just such a small amount. Like, what will I do getting 1,000 rupees, right? So I just told him, it's fine, you don't need to pay it, you pay it later whenever you're back. At this point, what happened was, so I was at home. All of these adventures have happened while I was at home. So I sent that email out, and then I was I came outside to the hall, and I was sitting and talking to my parents, and I was like, okay, by the way, that client said that he would pay like 1,000 rupees, but I said, what, just pay it later. And my dad was just staring at me, and he's staring at me. I'm talking, and he's like, what did you tell that person? I said, I told him he can pay it later. Whenever he's done with his travel, or whatever, whenever he's free, whenever he can start the complete work, he can pay that later. And he said, like my dad said, like, you should never say no to money. Like, never, no matter what the amount, you should never say no to money. And at that time, again, like, I told my dad, it's fine, it's just 1,000 rupees, it'll work out. And then what happened was that client never paid. So that client just suddenly stopped responding to my emails, and then it was just, it never happened. The deal never happened, like, as if I didn't exist, as if that client didn't exist, and we never worked together, right? So, like, it never happened. I didn't end up working together. And at that point, when I, didn't really get his response, I realized that if that person had paid 1,000 rupees, it would have been like a fixed deal between us. If he had paid 1,000 rupees, he would pay the rest, because he knew he had paid 1,000 rupees to keep his word. But because I said no to the payment, thinking that it was a small amount, the entire deal was gone, right? So another very huge lesson, never say no to money. No matter how small, it could be 500 rupees, 1,000 rupees, whatever amount it is. Don't say no to it, accept it, especially if it's coming from a client, because it's probably the way they, seal their word, and it's a way to get, the deal completely sealed from their side. So very huge lesson. Again, at that point, I stopped saying no. I stopped saying no to people who said that, okay, we'll pay you this much right now, we'll pay you this afterwards, it's fine. I stopped doing that, and this rarely happens, like maybe once in a blue moon, like really once in a blue moon. But yeah, that was a really interesting lesson as well. And one of the final things I would say is I didn't really invest in myself, because like, very frankly, I don't really think that's a challenge. Like, it's completely fine that I didn't invest in myself, because I didn't earn as much to be investing in myself, correct? So at this point, I would say that if I invest in myself, I know that I'm going to make the returns work for me, because I'm completely committed to freelancing. I'm doing it well, and I know that, I'm going to, if I'm going to invest in myself, I know I'm going to make full use of whatever I'm investing in. Earlier I didn't do that. Would I have done that differently? Maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe because at that point, especially when you're a new freelancer and if you want to invest in something, even if that's a book like worth 500 rupees, you don't really want to do it yet. Sometimes, depending on, like, if you know me, you can buy my ebook, come on. But if you don't really follow somebody, like I said, I didn't really follow anybody. I didn't really have this favorite writer or anything. I would read books that were at home. That was fine, but there were no other investments from my side. I wish I would have changed that, and I'm glad I'm doing it now. So that's important. I think I'm glad I'm working on that right now, because that's turning out super helpful. So yeah, those are some challenges, and those are some things that I wish I would have done differently when I started out freelancing. I also want to share a few things that I did right while freelancing. And one of those main things was, first of all, being very honest about my experience. So whenever people ask me, like, have you written for this, or do you have experience in writing for this, I was very honest, like, hey, I have written for this. Yes, I've written for one client, and this is how it worked out. Or, hey, I have not written for this ever before. So again, that kind of just gives that honesty really builds trust and credibility, and then over time it really impacts your brand. And if nothing, it impacts, it just helps you build a stronger relationship with yourself. It helps you just be a better person to yourself, to other people, because you're being completely honest that as a new content writer, you don't have experience in certain things. Completely fine. And the second best thing that I have done is that I have, whatever challenges I've faced, whatever bad experiences I've had, I have always learned from that, and I've grown from there. So sometimes I have made the same mistakes twice, thrice, whatever. I've had the same experiences twice, thrice. But most of them I have kept working on. I'm still working on. Again, the whole being emotional about things happens sometimes. Still working on it. But yeah, things are like things that you learn. Like, if you have bad experiences, it's really important to kind of learn from that and really work on that, and really kind of change the course of your life or your freelancing career through that. So yeah, those are two things that I did right. I was always honest about my experience and what I knew. And the second thing was that I always learned from whatever I did, and I improved on that, and I changed myself through that way. So yeah, so those are a few things that I have done right, and some of the few things that I have not done so right, but I have eventually learned how to do those right. So yeah, that's me in the beginning of my freelancing career. I'm still that person in many ways, but I think I'm still completely like growing from there, not really stuck in the same loop again and again. So I'm happy about that. And now I would be happy to take your questions. Any questions you have, especially if you're like a newbie, or anything, any problem, like, any challenges you faced when you were starting out, and you think you're still facing those challenges, and you don't, and you're kind of stuck as to how to get out of those. You can ask those kind of questions, and I'll answer those, right? Okay. Nith Mathur said that I'm a great storyteller. Thank you so much. Okay, what you're saying is so relatable. Yeah. Megha is asking, when did that realization happen? I mean, even after how many months of freelancing, I'm still very underconfident. It wasn't, I didn't like wake up one day and realize, oh my God, I'm so confident in my work. It's a process you go through, and you become confident. And again, you shouldn't be unreasonably confident, right? You should be confident in, and you will be confident only if you have something to be confident about. So if you are happy with the kind of work you're doing, if you're happy with the kind of person you are, maybe if you're happy with the kind of freelancing work you offer, the services you offer, the way you deal with people, all of these things, if you're happy with that, only then can you be confident. So you have to have something to be confident about. Just don't go about being confident just for the sake of it. And that's something that really comes with time, and it keeps changing. Okay, so I would say I was like it took me time to become confident about pitching. It took me time to become confident about talking to people. That was one thing. Recently, something that really took me time to be confident about is this: lives, doing Instagram lives, talking, and just being myself on camera and just talking without anything guiding me, just talking. I don't know like what I'm saying right now, that kind of thing. So yeah, those are things that, again, everything has its own way of gaining confidence, and usually it's about doing those things over and over again. I've done like 30-40 lives in the past like 3-4 months, and that has built my confidence in doing lives. So it just keeps changing, and yeah, that's something that comes with practice. Megha said, "Oh, Shreya, you're an inspiration. I didn't know these things happen to you as well. These happen to me all the time." Yes, they happen to, they have happened to me. I'm not sharing these as sob stories, honestly. I'm not sharing these as stories that, like, I'm not sharing these as sob stories. These are just some things that really happened to me. And I'm not saying that these are all the things that happened to me, right? Like, these were probably like 20% of things that happened to me, and 80% of things were probably going very well. And things keep changing with time, though that 20% always keeps molding in one form or the other, and there's always something that keeps going wrong. And I'm not complaining. I'm very happy for those experiences, because if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be here. So I'm genuinely grateful for those difficult, challenging people, those difficult, challenging clients, these difficult, challenging, people who are obsessed with commenting on my posts. Love these people, like, so grateful for them. Tips to write content. You can please check out my videos. Megha Seth is asking, would you suggest deleting such comments or blocking such people? I would have done that if I didn't have my parents telling me not to. I genuinely would have. I would have probably blocked all these people and, done all of that. But it's not worth it. It's not worth spending my time. Why should I even spend that 1 minute of my time thinking about whether I should block them or not? Whether I should, go to their profile, click the block thingy and block them or not? Not worth it. Like, just not even worth 1 minute of the time. So, what does OP mean? Like, I'm seeing this word OP everywhere. I really want to know what OP means. Steven Jason is saying, lovely Shreya, so lovely dropping nuggets. Thank you. Okay. How to price your work? Chinmay, I have this very long video on my IGTV about pricing your services as a freelancer. Please check it out. Jatin is saying, know the present market value. Present market value, knowing that is not a good way to price your services. If that were the case, like, the present market value as per whatever prospects I speak to is probably like, I don't know, 100 rupees for 1,000 words. So that's not a good metric at all. You define your own value. You're a freelancer. You decide what you get paid and what you get paid for. So don't just go by the market value. Not a good idea. And plus, there's no real way of knowing the market value, because there's no such thing. Like, you can't just Google what is the market value of a writer. You can't really do that. There's nothing like that. So, Chinmay, if you're a web developer, you could probably speak to some web developers, understand from them how they charge, and then go ahead and charge that way. And it definitely makes sense that the charges are varied for each project, definitely. Megha Seth is asking, what are the areas you would recommend investing in? Anything you like. See, it could be an investment just for your personal entertainment. Completely fine. If you think you deserve that, and if you think you have, if there's something that you would like, a good book to read, maybe, if you like that, do it. Investing also in terms of, say, my ebook. So because, my ebook is something that you learn from, that is something that you can actually use to improve your freelancing career, something that you can use to build an audience on LinkedIn. So that's an investment that I would call as a business investment, because that's something that gives you return for your business. Having said that, I also want to share something that is for everybody who didn't buy my ebook yet. So just for now, for the next 15 copies, I have a discount going on. So you can get the ebook for rupees 650 instead of rupees 800. This is only for 15 people. So I am sharing the code here and you can check the book out. And yeah, so I'm just going to pin this if I can. Yes. So there's a code 650 and that you can use to get my book #anthology for rupees 650. Just this is only for 15 people. So the first 15 people who do this get the discount. So you can check it out. Link is in my bio to get it. Okay, more questions. This is one of the best lives ever. Thank you, Megha. Really nice knowing your experience. Thank you, Marisma. How to begin with freelancing? You can Apurav, you can check my entire Instagram page. It's completely about freelancing. You can check that out. I'm a video editor and I'm not able to get clients. Dhruv, you should analyze what you're doing right now. Saying you're not able to get clients, I really can't help you with that one sentence. You should really look into what you're doing so far and what you can do more. And you can DM me if you have like specific questions and we can get into that. How to build a connection on LinkedIn? Like whom to accept connection from being a female? Feza is asking. See, I always like, there are certain things that I do not like to account for when I'm talking about things. Like I do not like to account for age. I do not like to account for gender. You're a female, I'm a female, and being a female, there are certain challenges, yes. But you should not let those challenges really, phase you or really change everything for you. You should still be open to connections, because if something goes wrong, you can always block the person, you can delete, report the person, whatever, you can always do that. But it's always nice to have a connection. I mean, I don't mind that. I'm okay with it. And the best thing to do is not reply to people who just say hi. That's it. So I would say be cautious and just block people who seem to be weird. But other than that, you should be fine. How do you price when you're a newbie? I'm working in development. What should be priced for copywriting? Chinmay, please check out my video for pricing. Everything is on there. Do you need to be a master in your skill to get clients? No, Apurav. If you don't need to be a master. You just need to be really good at it. And you need to be, you need to be in a position where you can solve your client's problem. If the client wants something and if they are happy with the way you solve their problem, then they're completely fine with you solving their problem. So just do it without having expertise, not needed. Okay. No questions, but your experiences help each and everyone who thinks of freelancing, makes it possible to do it real. Thank you, Simran. Tushar Kumar, okay. How to deal with annoying clients who irritate you while paying? Chirag. What do you mean irritate you while paying? I have this very funny image in my head right now. The way I read your text, it's like, they're making the payment and they're irritating you while they're making forget it. But if they don't pay you, then you can always fire them, not work with them. If they pay you, then they think that just because they've paid you, they are entitled to all of your time and effort, then you need to really set boundaries, give your work hours. Hey, I'm available to work between this and this. Please contact me during these hours. Set boundaries. Thank you for sharing all the experience. You're welcome, Karishma. Coffee Rain Poetry. Thank you. Psycho. Thank you. Okay, OP means overpowered. Thank you very much for sharing that. How can we work for you? I have a very different hiring process, so you could DM me. We could see how does that work out, but normally I have a process that I stick to. Okay, so OP is a word used in gaming, especially those games which include multiplayer models. It has since evolved and just left the field and just become a kind of a general word. It's an emotion now. Karthik is happy that he pre-ordered the ebook. Of course, that is something I'd already told everyone, that the ebook would be the least possible price is during the pre-order. Also, my second ebook is something I'm really working on. Really excited for it because it's really coming together now. Got my notes going and everything, so very happy. Ashwar said this session was so relatable. Come on, Gazab. Say this session was so Gazab. Come on. Especially when you said don't edit while writing. I always do this and always forget my things. Yes, not editing while writing has actually proved very helpful for me. One more thing I could suggest is, like, since you said that you always end up forgetting things, one thing you could do is while you're writing, you can keep the audio notes for your phone on. This is something I do normally while writing my essays when I have a lot of thoughts going on, and sometimes I blurt things out because while writing I tend to talk. Um, so if I say something out and then I forget it right the very second, I have it in my audio note. So it's a good way. You can just keep your audio recording on. Next one. Tushar Kumar is asking, did you miss my question? I think so. Can you please ask it again? Sakshi is saying, I love your live session, Shreya. I'm trying to start freelancing, but I don't have any past experience and I'm getting reallocated hopeless these days. Okay, I'm getting really hopeless. Okay, these sessions kind of help me. Thank you. You're welcome, Sakshi. I'm a first year student of architecture. I really want to learn digital marketing, but in architecture, I have no time for freelance. How can I do it? This is cartoon 94143. One of my best friends is also actually doing architecture, and I have seen like, even when I was home for like even say 3 or 4 months in all of the year, she would not have time to come and meet me. So I understand that architecture is a very demanding course. If you don't really have time for freelancing, you can consider doing just one client at a time. Completely fine. Start with one client. You want to learn digital marketing, right? So start with one client, or even just start with your friends. Start with doing digital marketing for your friends. Any of your friends who probably have an online store, like where they sell cakes or where they sell clothes, or they just have a fashion blog, something like that. Help them out with digital marketing. See how your time kind of fits in there. Even when you're helping your friends out, deal with them like complete clients. Like, be as committed to them as you would be to clients. Absolutely do that, and figure out whether freelancing is something you could make time for here and there, because of course if you take on a client, your commitment is completely important. So start with a few friends, experiment, and if it works out good for you, you can always start taking up clients. Your experience answered all of my doubts. Thank you, Karishma. What's the code about, Simran? The code 650 and is for my ebook anthology. So only for the next 15 people who use this code, they will get the ebook for 650 rupees instead of 800. Okay. What's future of content writing as freelance career as aftermath of corona pandemic? I'm not really sure, Aparna. I think it's going to definitely be difficult because people are not going to have much money probably to spend on content. But again, see, it's about having 7-8 billion people in the world. I don't know how many, but whatever, billions of people in the world. And if you have the right brand, if you have the right connect, in fact, even if you have the right kind of people that you're working with right now, if you have 3 clients you're working with who are amazing people to work with, who pay you well, who value your work, and who are sticking with you long term, then you're sorted for the next few months, even during or after the pandemic. So yeah, definitely, like, get really into that and find someone to commit to, I guess. Coffee Rain Poetry, love this session, the best one till date. Thank you so much. Mahesh said journal too. I don't know what you mean by that, but do I write journals? Not really. I would say LinkedIn is my journal because I write so many stories on LinkedIn. Giriraj is asking how Fiverr pricing set in initial time. I don't use Fiverr, so that's not something I could help out with. What is the right way to approach existing client and inform about the price increase? Any guzzle idea of doing this? Psycho is asking. This is something I shared in my money management video. So if you want to inform, instead of increasing the current price, it's always good to add more scope of work and then get paid for that value. Increasing the price can be a very difficult conversation. Probably you can do it like if you're 4 months, 6 months into it, and you can say, hey, we've been working for this long, I'm really happy working with you, and I understand that you also are happy with the output, and I really hope we can rediscuss the rates and look at adding more value to each other as well. Something like that. Or the best way is to actually increase the scope of work for yourself, and then get more paid by them. Megha said, if you could do only one, which one would you choose? Content writing or copywriting or something else? I'm I'm just going to say content writing, because content writing, copywriting is basically, I would just, link them together. It's fine. So I'm just going to say writing. Writing. Oh, best writing. No doubt the session was gazab. Your सबसे ज़्यादा वाला गजब session था ये. Okay, thank you, Ashwar. By the way, I only have 2 hours, 2 hours because I'm a class 12 student. If you're a class 12 student, you can probably wait it out. If you may have a lot of commitment right now with your exams and everything. And if you have 2 hours, you can invest that again in doing something like helping your friends out, doing it for your own profile, learning, reading, watching lives like this, things like that. Mostly like learning and practicing. And then after your 12th standard, you can probably start really going into it, because of course studies is also important. Is content writing is future? Does content writing have a future? This is such a weird question to ask me as a content writer. If I'm a content writer, I would of course say yes, there is a future. So should we post personal experiences on LinkedIn which doesn't get many clients, or something related to our niche which would get clients? Megha, I think you already know the answer to this question. Because no one has said that writing personal experiences doesn't get many clients. I am not sure where you got that thought from. But again, if you kind of commit to content writing, and you should experiment and see what works best for you. But of course, again, you think about my LinkedIn page, and you can imagine what would work and what not. Simran is saying, would love to get on live with you. I have been texting you for some days. Simran, I'll check out the messages. I have had a lot of requests for lives. It's just jumping everywhere. Yesterday I had 2 webinars, and yeah, a lot of things going on. So I will get back to you. Tushar Kumar, SEO based content writing is a challenge for newbie. How to deal with this? I normally get the SEO keywords from my clients, and I get the rules from them, like how do they want those SEO keywords included in their article or content, and I just work with that. I have never really gone all deep into SEO. If you want to do that, of course you can read up things for free and then also invest in something like that. I missed the live event in between. Can you please answer? What would you suggest for a freelance writer to begin a startup with? To begin a startup, I don't really understand your question, Aparna. Do you want to build your own startup as a freelance writer? In that case, I would say that first, as yourself, as a freelance writer, start getting enough work to sustain yourself as a startup, to sustain yourself as somebody who has a team, who has to pay salaries, all those things, because those things are a huge consideration while building a startup. So if you don't have enough work right now, that if you can't sustain yourself right now, it's very unlikely that just because you have a startup, you'll start being able to get more work. So do it for yourself first, and then accordingly you can grow from there. I have an offer to write for a book as a co-author. The client said you can write anything, but don't know how to start, what to write actually. Karishma, this is not a brief from a client. The client should know what the client wants. You write a book as a co-author. If you're a co-author, then first of all, you're co-authoring something, which is what is that something, figure it out. And you can write anything, means there are a billion things you could write about. This is not a brief. So get a brief from a client. How do you have so many questions? As a comms person working in an NGO, how can I shift base to freelance? Shreya Sehgal is asking. See, anybody who wants to do freelancing can do it. It doesn't matter what course you're doing, what other thing you're doing, what job you have. It's all about having that time commitment. First, having that time commitment. Even your skills and experience is something you can get with practice. Again, practice also comes from time commitment, right? If you have the time to commit to freelancing, if you have the time, go for it. Otherwise, it's going to be another stress point for you. Nivesh is saying, I'm not great at writing, although is it possible for me to start a side hustle in copywriting? If you are not great at writing, you already know that, then you know that you're supposed to work on it. So start working on that, and it'll work out. Do we need GST for payment gateways? I'm not sure. Please ask somebody who would be equipped with finances. Litan Kumar is asking how to get clients from LinkedIn. I have an IGTV video on exactly that topic, exactly those words, how to get clients from LinkedIn. Go check it out. Are you doing 2 lives today, Shreya? No, I'm not. Am I doing 2 lives? Do I have another live planned? I don't know. No. Okay, I think I have 2 minutes left or something. I think I have 4 minutes left to answer. I'm the 2020 first year batch, just came by the topic freelancing, but the concept is not clear. Freelancing is basically when you're not associated with any company. So you're an independent person who provides your services independently. That's it. The rest you can kind of Google. If your content is not getting enough engagement, even if feedback is very good, then how to keep moving? Khushbu, if you're getting good feedback, it means it's connecting with at least some people. So engagement is not important. That connection is more important. Keep working on that and keep being patient. That's it. How were you able to eventually not take your work letdowns or failures personally? That was mainly I didn't have a choice, honestly. If I kept doing that, then I would just be like this person who could get nothing done, who would just constantly, be upset, be crying, and not have a successful freelancing career, just keep, breaking down at various points. So I didn't really have a choice there. So it became a habit that I just need to kind of move on from that, and I did that. I want to start freelancing, but everyone wants experience and I don't have any. Sakshi. Of course, people want experience. People want experience in writing, not just, working with clients. So in my ebook, I have more tips about these things, but mainly if you have written any content, even for your Instagram page, your LinkedIn, you can use those as portfolios for now. You can provide some sample, like you can provide either a sample paid for, like written for either free, like a short sample for free, or if it's a longer sample, you can get it done for like a discounted rate if you want, and then go ahead with that. So that's something you can go for. Okay, what's the difference between freelancing and consulting? Consulting can also be a freelancing job. So that's freelancing is a concept. Consulting is one of those things you could do as a freelancer. Where is your ebook? My ebook, the link is in the bio. You can check it out. You can use the code 650 ANT to get it for a discounted price. It's only for the next 15 people. So be very quick with that. Okay. What is your advice to someone who is just starting with freelancing? No clients, no reviews. If you're just starting with freelancing, my advice is stop looking for advice. I always say this: stop looking for advice and instead go and start doing something. Stop reading articles. Stop asking people constantly. Stop watching YouTube videos about all of these things and actually get up and start doing it. Very important. So yeah, how to market oneself as a freelancer? I have an IGTV on that. Please check it out. So yeah, that's all. Today was a super long live. Today was almost 1 hour, but it was amazing. It was great to share some personal stories of how I started. Lots of fun. And I just shared this thing with you that you can get my ebook #anthology for 650 rupees. It's only for the next 3 people. So please use that code and get the ebook right now if you want. And Steven Jason is asking 3 takeaways from your 3 mistakes as a freelancer. Honestly, my entire life was about that topic. So please go back and watch it later if you like. And thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you so much for being here on a Saturday evening or a Saturday afternoon, depending wherever you are. And yeah, I will see you again on Tuesday evening. So thank you so much, and take care and have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you. Bye.